Welcome back to Callahan's Corner. We ask the questions. We answer them live right here on Facebook. Got a great user submitted question in the Copilot CRM group brought to us by Paul. So in like fashion, I'm going to open up the screen here, get Paul's question live for us and dive in and actually answer his question. So Paul's question would be general to any CRM or customer relationship management software. This one's particular to Copilot CRM. So without any further delay, I'm going to open this up and kick it in here. So Paul's question, what has everyone found the best way to organize customers using tags? Give me some examples. Thanks, guys. So Paul, great question here. And that's exactly what we do here on Callahan's Corner. We ask your questions in the user groups on the softwares we work on to help people set up. And what I'm going to do is give you some best practice. So want to be looking at naming conventions. This can be just general naming conventions, or eventually if you go into the sequence automations, the advanced automations, these are the things that you are going to want to set up from the ground floor up for your automation tags. But in general, this will play for any tag. So in the early days of Callahan's Lawn Care, my lawn care company, we were making random tags and everywhere. It was a hot mess. So Paul, I'm glad you're asking this question before you dive in. This would be the best practice that I recommend that we use with hundreds of people each and every year on different softwares. And now as we're helping people set Copilot up, this is the methodology that we're using. So whether it's a normal tag or an automation tag, we're going to be looking at a category first, and then we have some naming conventions for our automation campaigns. First one we want to look at, though, is the naming convention is actually pretty important in the spacing. So 01 dot space status is our status tag. So 01 is our status tag. And that's where someone is in your campaigns or where they're at in your service area here. So one could be 01 status lawn care lead that's requested an estimate. 01 status they've received an estimate and they haven't accepted yes or no. 01 status is accepted or lost estimate. That's some ideas of what that status could be. Next thing is the history. So what has happened in the past, 02 history. So what that is basically an audit tail throughout the CRM, all the things that have happened, whether they've canceled a service, accepted a service, where they're at in their journey. That history tag usually never gets deleted. That history tag stays with them so we can go back as basically an audit trail in the software such as Copilot. Next one is our profile. Paul's question, this is probably the most important custom field or tag that you're going to be doing. So an O3 profile keeps track of the data not stored in a custom field. So O3 profile could be lawn mowing customer, canceled lawn mowing customer, lead of a lawn mowing. But profile is tracking all the data on the actual client or lead that's not stored inside a custom field. Now, a custom field is a job variable such as turf square footage or gate code, things like that. So profile is really keeping track of all the data, particular on the profile of the leader client that's not stored in a custom field. 04 is a to-do or a ticket. So these are all the things that a person would need to do. So we'd assign the 04 as part of the ticket sequencing inside Copilot or whatever software you're using. And finally, the system tag, it tells the CRM what to do. So if you're building automations around this, a system tag would almost be like a ticket that you need to get into a ride, like in a carnival or amusement park. You can't get into the automation or you can't get into the process without having that system tag. So the system tag's applied and then it lets it into that functionality. So as we dive into Copilot CRM, if you go under the gear icon and you look at your different account settings, there's no categories in the current state that I'm aware of that you can build out categories for tags. Right now, we can do categories for to-dos. So right now, this naming convention is going to really help you standardize at the current state of Copilot as I'm making this. So as we go into Copilot, we've got our under resource tags here. And what we're going to do is go in and we would create, as you can see, some of our 01 events here. If you go back to our naming convention, is a status, where they're at in your marketing campaigns. So if I was to build out a profile tag to answer Paul's question, it would be an 03. So I would want to go in and add a new tag. And this would be 03.space lawn mowing customer. This is the data that is being stored on the leader client record that is not held in a custom field. So that would be a profile tag. As we're going back to our naming convention, status 01. This could be a status tag 01 dot requested estimate needs to be done. So we can track that data on O1, which is our status. So where someone is at in your campaigns or your workflow. That's how we would tackle our O1. So I will go into our next example, history. Where have they been? So history could be O2, which is our history. And the history could be accepted lawn mowing estimate. That's an example of the historical data that could be on that client. And then finally, as we go into O4 or O3, we tracked that already. O4 is a to-do. So we would kind of marry those up to the to-do categories. But a way of doing that would be as our O4 based on our categories. Let's say, see a good example on that. A to-do would be an estimate here. So this would be our O4 estimate. Leave the typos here. Estimate needs to be done. And then the next O4 would be estimate has been completed. So the idea is this O4 here is going to give you the to-do, around the to-do. What are the things that need to be done? Finally, the system tags here, O5 tells the CRM. So this could be a O5 system tag, start upsell for pest control. But those are examples, Paul, of how I would use tags. That's how we do this with hundreds of clients each year through SimpleGrowth. But basically, the idea here is that we've got 4 or 5 different categories: a status, history, profile, to-do, and system tag. Status is going to tell you where someone's at in your campaigns. History is going to tell you where they've been. It's an audit trail. Profile keeps track of the data, not stored in a custom field. To-dos are going to be all things a person has to do. Those are those ticket categories along with those. And that O5 system tells the CRM what to do, start or stop those automations or processes. And finally, if you're going into creating sequence automations, you'll notice a similarity: 0, 01, 02, 03, 04, 05. We now have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So as we're building out campaigns, sequence campaigns, we have naming conventions of 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 based on marketing campaigns, sales campaigns, fulfillment, finance, and internal/HR. So more videos to come on this as you're building out your automations. But at a high level, you're looking at naming conventions to organize everything in your CRM, particularly to this question that Paul submitted here in the Copilot CRM group. Paul, that's how I would be using naming conventions for tags in Copilot CRM. Callahan's Corner, you ask the questions, answer them live right here on Facebook.